Hey everybody, welcome back. These are some awful, just awful dates that made it to TikTok.
I farted on him.
Just so it out.
The man's not coming.
I need to talk about something that gives me the ick and just turns me off so badly, because this is now the second guy that I've had to cut things off with because he has shown me these kinds of behaviors and characteristics. Now, when it happened with the first guy, I told my friends about it and they were all like, Nicole, like, you're too picky, like, you get the ick too fast. No. And what I tell them is, you like what you like, I like what I like, and this is what I don't like. We're just different people, we have different preferences, but I just know that there are people out there that feel me, okay?
Okay.
So when it comes to dating, the most important qualities to me is confidence and authenticity.
Okay.
I need to be with someone who's confident, who's able to stand on their own 2 feet, who knows how to form their own opinions on things, and someone who knows how to make decisions confidently. So
Okay, fair.
Let's get into it, shall we? Okay, so I was talking to this guy for less than a week, okay? We didn't even go on a first date. We matched on Hinge. We were talking back and forth on Instagram. And there were things that he would say and do that was like building up to the point where I was like, okay, you are exhibiting the same kind of behavior as the first guy that I cut things off with. And the crazy thing is, it happened exactly a year apart, because the first guy happened January 2024 and now this guy is happening January 2025. But I made a whole list about him so that I will never forget how I felt about this situation. So let me refer back to my notes.
Please.
Okay, number 1, we were trying to make plans to meet in person. He goes, I hope you don't hate me in person. Number 2, he sends me selfies, and that's a whole nother thing. He would send just excessive photos on Instagram, and he'd be like, oh, if you couldn't tell, I really like sending and receiving photos. And I'm like, I could tell.
What does that mean? Sending and receiving photos. He's in his Snapchat era, babes. Am I crazy, or is it like a guy that takes a ton of photos of himself? It's just like, it's kind of an ick.
Ew.
I'm sorry. It's one thing for him to take photos and send them to you. Like, if they're funny and stuff like that, that's different. But if they're just like a selfie, like a gym selfie, and then if he's trying to get you to send him photos too, what kind of photos? Am I wrong?
You're gonna look at me and you're gonna tell me that I'm wrong? Am I wrong?
I feel like I'm not wrong about this, but let's carry on.
He sends me photos. I didn't like the photo, and he goes, you're not even gonna like it or nothing.
Oh, weird.
I didn't like it because I didn't like it.
Okay, no, needing the validation is weird. Needing the, like, constant, oh man. And you barely know this guy too, eh? Ooh. He's looking for indications that you like him. Maybe trying to make a joke out of it when he sees an indication that you don't like him. I'm trying to just like think logically from like his point of view. Like, if there was no content, it was just like a photo of him and there was nothing like funny or clever about it, what are you supposed to say to that?
Oh, nice photo. Looking good.
That only works like after like the first couple, and then you're just like, hey.
And then one morning he goes, good morning to Nicole and Nicole only. And I was just really icked out by that. And then I was telling him like, oh, it wasn't a good morning. I got really bad sleep, whatever. This man goes, what can I do to make it better? And I'm like, the f you mean? Like, are you gonna hypnotize my brain to make it think that I got 9 hours of sleep? Like, what do you mean, what can you do to make it better?
Okay, at this point, I also just feel like this guy just gives you the ick in general, and like anything he does will give you the ick. I'm just saying.
As I said before, we were trying to like make plans. I told him, oh, I'm free this Saturday. He goes, okay, that should work. Let me check my calendar. Never confirmed, never got back to me. And then on Friday, he goes, oh, by the way, are you free for a date next Saturday? Because tomorrow I'm actually gonna go upstate for a photo shoot, because he has his own clothing brand. Like, at this point, I was kind of like getting the vibe that he was very insecure and just like attached way too early on. So I was thinking that I just didn't really want to hang out with him anymore. So I was just like, oh, like, you know, I might have plans next Saturday. Like, it's tentative, but it's, you know, I can let you know. And then I told him that my sister was coming over for the weekend and I'm gonna be hanging out with her. And he goes, so it's either this Saturday or nothing at all. And I'm like, yeah, kind of. And he goes, okay, let me try to move around my photo shoot. And at this point, I'm just like, that is just so unattractive to me because you have a whole business. You planned this whole photo shoot and it's upstate. And just because I tell you that I'm not available when you say you're available, you're gonna try to move around your whole plans for me. And don't get me wrong, of course I want to be someone who makes time for me, you know, who's gonna put in effort to spend time with me. But I feel like that's more acceptable once we've actually met. Mind you, we haven't even met at this point yet. It's also more acceptable when you're like in an actual relationship and building that connection together, okay? Like we haven't even met in person and this man is trying to move around all of his plans just to meet with me. And I'm like, okay, so after he said like, oh, I want to move around, I can move around my photo shoot, I was like, oh my God, no, like don't do that. Like you do not have to do that at all.
But it's also like, if you could have moved the photo shoot and it didn't have to be on that Saturday, then why did you make those plans in the first place after you had already agreed to like hang out? That's what I'm reading. That's how I'm reading this.
And I'm like, you know, I'm with my sister all weekend anyway, like we're gonna be hanging out. He goes, yeah, that's what I was thinking too. No, you weren't. You literally just said that you would move around your whole photo shoot for me. Like, what do you mean? That's what I was thinking too. Like, this is what I'm talking about. Like, these guys will just say anything to agree with you, to impress you. They don't know how to stand on their own 2 feet. And it just comes off as very inauthentic. And then eventually he goes, why do I feel like we ain't gonna link? Sad face. Yeah, we're not. And I also sensed some insecurity when he would beat around the bush with a lot of things. So like before we moved on to Instagram, when we were just like DMing back and forth on Hinge, he was complimenting my style and I was like, oh yeah, I really like the way you dress too. He goes, oh yeah, I have better pics on Instagram and I'm sure you do too. Like trying to insinuate like wanting to follow each other on Instagram but not outwardly saying it. So that was the first thing. And then like the second thing, we were talking and he goes, oh, are you the type of person that likes talking on the phone? And I'm like, yeah, like I like a good phone call. And he goes, yeah, same, especially if I really like you and like, you know, I want to make time for you. Like I love phone calls. And I'm just like, okay, are you trying to like talk on the phone? It's just like trying to like plant these little seeds so that I could outwardly say it, so that he won't have to get rejected if he's the one to ask it. You know what I mean? And so basically I just knew I had to cut it off after he was like, we ain't gonna link. I feel like we ain't gonna link. So I was just like, hey, you know, like I've been reflecting on our conversation and I just feel like it's not the right fit. It's just not what I'm looking for. Like I appreciated getting to know you. Best of luck. Not even 30 seconds later, he replies, he goes, really? What made you think that, if you don't mind me asking? And I'm like, Jesus Christ, like he's really about to ask me all the reasons why I don't like him. Like I'm not gonna just tell him that you're insecure and like you're way too eager right off the bat. Like I'm not gonna say that to you because I'm gonna hurt your feelings. So I was just like, I don't think I owe you an explanation. These are just like my personal reasons as to like what I'm looking for, and I think there's a fine line between being honest and too honest, so let's just leave it at that. And again, 10 seconds later, he goes, oh, sorry if I offended you in any way. Because he thought that I meant that he said something to me that was too honest. But I was just like, no, that's not what I meant. What I meant was like, I don't want to be too honest with my reasons why. They're just personal to me. And he goes, okay, all I can do is respect that. And then I was just thinking about everything that he was saying and doing. And I was just like, just so icked out. Like, you know the feeling where you get just like the creepy crawling like feeling on your skin, and just like,
okay. So I think you should trust that feeling. I also do think that you're a very picky girl. I feel like he can tell that you're not that interested in him. She's just not It could be a little bit of insecurity from past people not being interested in him and trying to like overcompensate. But I feel like he can tell that you're like not that into him, and he's like overcompensating for that, and that is also turning you off. I mean, listen, it was your feeling and you should trust it. It should never be this difficult. You guys should be equally as excited to like talk to each other. It just doesn't seem like a good fit in general.
I unfollowed him. I also removed him as a follower. This was maybe like Saturday night, I removed him. Sunday, I post a story on my Instagram. This man looked at my story. That means he went out of his way to go onto my Instagram Instead of seeing the message button, he probably saw the follow button, which is very clear that we no longer follow each other. And he still went out of his way to click on my story. And I was just like, ew, I'm literally embarrassed for you. And then today I posted another story and he looked at it again. Like at this point, I think I have to block him. And I feel like some people might think like, oh, all of this is like not a big deal. You're just like emotionally unavailable. Like this is why you're single, blah, 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 blah. Like, okay, maybe you have a point, but it's just, these are the things that are important to me. Again, let me remind you, we have not met in person yet. I also felt like he was projecting onto me rather than wanting to actually get to know me. And I am so used to guys liking the idea of me. Like, of course, every guy wants like a pretty girl linked on his arm, but like, really, do you even want to get to know her as a person? Like, do you even know me? And when they say, oh, I like you, I'm just like, what do you like?
This is like my favorite thing. You go on a date and you like literally don't say a word. Like the dude is just like, it's almost like he's auditioning to date you, you know? Or it's like a job interview and he's just talking about himself and like, you're just kind of sitting there. Just like let people talk, honestly. Like just let them talk. Sure enough, they'll be just obsessed with you.
Why are you so obsessed with me?
Yeah, I really like you.
It's like, what do you mean you like me? You don't even know who I am. You have not asked me a single question. And similarly, when you go out on a date and it's feeling like,
Ooh, there's so much chemistry, it's so much fun.
babe, you don't have chemistry. You're just fun. You're the fun one.
He's also way more concerned with agreeing with me rather than being confident in his own decisions and the things that he wants to say. But yeah, I'm gonna go block him now. I just need to share this and get this off my chest. I just hope there are other girls out there that relate and that would feel the same way as I would if you were in my situation.
I think that maybe what you shared isn't necessarily like, it could be seen as a red flag for other things, especially because you haven't met him. I think that it's like what you see before you see the really, really obvious red flags. And maybe you're just really good at catching them. Maybe. Or maybe you a little picky. Therapist here, valid icks. There you go. Baby, there wasn't a photo shoot, I promise. Ooh, that's a hot take.
Ow, hot, hot, hot.
Maybe it was like, oh, he wanted to sound like really cool and stuff with his like photo shoot. I think the ickiest thing out of all of this is the sending of the photos. Like, I don't know, there's something weird about that. Taking the selfies and then needing validation on the selfies is weird. When a guy asks for any pics, I instantly ghost, literally. Because it's never just like a cute pic. It's always just like they're leading you to like send them other types of pictures, you know? Like it's almost like they're seeing what you will do. And listen, maybe she does get the ick very fast, but like to anyone that's still dating, maybe you should get the ick really fast. Time is super important. Your time is valuable. His time is valuable. If you're starting to see things off the bat that kind of give you the ick, that's kind of like your body telling you that you don't like them. So just trust that.
I got stood up for the second time last night by the same guy.
What?
Let's talk about it.
Okay.
So, good old Hinge, you know? Basically, I wasn't on Hinge for a year. I'm giving you so much backstory. I was on Hinge for like a year. Finally get back on, feel like the Lord is leading me, okay? I meet this guy like pretty quickly, like a couple days in, by the way. Like I'm not swipey every day. I'm very much trying to have the mindset of like this is adding to my dating life, not replacing it. Okay, whatever. A couple days in, we meet, we're talking. Nicest guy, okay? Same values. We're both Christian, but like for real Christian, respectfully for real Christian, like involved in church, all that stuff, okay? His communication's a little spotty, but like he's busy, I'm busy, whatever. We plan a date, okay? I don't hear from this man. It was supposed to be on a Monday. I don't hear from this man for the full like day and a half before, essentially. And I'm just like annoyed, but he gives me like a really good excuse and he gets overwhelmed, we talk it out, whatever. He's got a lot of good at his base. So let's just try to give him another chance, okay? Let's just try. Like a week goes by. He has not tried to replan this date. I'm getting frustrated. I'm hanging out with my friends. It was like a Friday. We were all hanging out and they were like, I think you have to call it. Like, I think you have to call it.
I agree with that.
I'm not gonna be too pressed about it. I'm just gonna say, hey, because finally after I asked, he was like, well, why don't we reschedule for this Monday? And don't hear from him for like almost another full day after he reschedules. And then I was like, you know, I think I'm good. Like, I don't think we should like go out. I think writing's on the wall here. We're clearly in different places, whatever. I texted him like a week later because I was talking to my friends about it and I was like, I feel this nudge. I don't know if it's God, which like I didn't want to be so dramatic and be like, God's telling me to reach out to him. I don't know what it was. I don't know if it was God. Probably not with the way it all turned out. I was like, he has a lot of good going for him. I really just want to get on a date and see like what is going on. Like we didn't even go on a date.
Babe, you're building him up on a pedestal. This happens a lot. I've also done this a lot. When you don't really know somebody, everybody's on their best behavior, right? You put people up on pedestals and you start to like a version of them that you've created in your head. That doesn't mean that that's who they are. That's who they've chosen to show you. They've also, in this case, chosen to show you that they're not reliable. That their word is pretty much good for nothing. Like, let's not only focus on like what could have been, like let's look at like what's right in front of us, okay? Anybody can kind of like put their best foot forward and like tell you the only good things about you. You can have chemistry through text, whatever. But actions speak louder than words. When someone is showing you that they don't care to make time for you, they're not being consistent, you gotta take that for what it is.
And I basically say, hey, last week was crazy, whatever. I really think we should go on a date and like hang in person before we make any decisions. He responds, he's like, I did terrible at communicating. I'm so sorry. I would love to actually go on a date. Cool. Well, I'm busy Monday to Wednesday. He's like, I'm out of town Thursday through Sunday. So I'm like, cool, we'll go out next week, whatever. I'm being so chill this time around. I have lower expectations. Heart's way more guarded. I don't hear from him while he's on like a camping trip. So he doesn't really have service, okay? So I don't really hear from him. And I'm just like, whatever. We'll see what happens when he gets back, blah, 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 blah. So he gets back. This was Sunday. It's currently Tuesday. I had to think about where I'm at in my life. You know what I mean? We're texting, and I'm like, what are you going on this week? And he's like, okay, well, so I have to go back out of town again. He like helped his family move.
Yeah.
So I'm only in town for 3 days. Let's hang out tomorrow. Cool, 6, sounds great. Let's do it. He plans the whole thing. He goes, I'll come at this time. I'll pick up food. Tell me what you want. Like, so I'm literally in my head. I'm like, oh, this is actually going to happen this time. However, I didn't tell my best girlfriends because I was afraid. If you're not telling your best girlies, you know, in deep down something's wrong. What's going on? We're kind of texting, kind of not. We're both at work, whatever. And then he's like, oh, I have to take my car in the shop, but don't worry, I'm taking my dad's car. And that I should have been like, He texts me, he's like, my dad has a meeting, but he should be back by like 6, so I should be able to leave by 6. He lives like 35 minutes away. So I'm like, okay. So he's like, my dad should be back around 6:30, I text him at 6:30 because he didn't text me. I go, update. He goes, oh my God, he's still out. Like,
oh my God, no.
I'll let you. It's 8:30. The man's not coming.
No, he's
I'm
not.
Stupid. The man's not coming.
He's not.
But I text him and I go,
I'm
you
sorry.
really gonna make me ask for another update or?
Oh God, for Christ's sake, stop asking, okay? Do not send the text. Stop. Please, everyone, okay? If someone is just very, very clearly showing you that they're not interested, do not hold your head high. Do not send the text. Don't. And this is coming from a place of, I also sent the text and I realized I should not have sent the text.
Just be a man and cancel the date. Nothing. Not a word. It's like 9 p.m. I send him a voice memo and I'm like, I just need to know like what's going on because you're great. You seem great. We have all these things in common.
He's not though.
And then we plan a date and you freak out. Like, I don't really know. I still haven't heard a word. Halfway through the next day, I still haven't heard a word. And I'm pissed because so much potential. He has so much potential that he's wasting. I just feel like, what am I doing? What am I doing?
I'll tell you what you're doing. You're putting him up on a pedestal because you like the idea of him. You're not looking at what's happening and seeing it for face value. Yes, maybe this man seems like nice, he's got things in common with you, etc., but he's also showing you that he doesn't care about your time. Doesn't take you seriously. He's probably seeing somebody else. Let's not only, think about what could have been and like really start to use our logical brains here. Cause like the heart wants what the heart wants, but there's also like, if everything in your body's saying yes, but your head is like, give him one chance. You give him one more chance after up. I think that's fair. People get busy, but 2 times, you're cut. Stop wasting your time.
I'm a tired girl who just wanted to go on a date. That's all.
I know, babes.
But I told God, this powder's like, oh, cray. Oh, cray. I told God, I said, when I turn 26, I either need to get a boyfriend or a dog. And it's looking like it's a dog. So here's the thing. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me.
Fool me 3 times. Oh my God.
Yep.
Not that I feel like I was fooled. I think I was being gracious, giving grace, showing patience, giving
He doesn't deserve it,
a
though.
chance to like step it up.
I literally have been here, and hearing someone else be in this place is just, yeah. It's so easy when you're not in it. You know what my nonna used to say to me when I was like this? Un altro, get another one.
I don't know what other girls do on a 3rd date, but
What?
I farted on him.
No!
I farted on him.
Stop!
I farted on him.
Why?
Date.
On the 3rd date, babe?
Trust me,
Oh,
I did
no.
I did not mean to. He made us dinner, mystery meatballs. I don't know what the is in the meatball, but I ate it.
Okay,
to
that's
be
his
polite.
fault. That's his fault.
He puts the dishes away, and I'm sitting on his couch, and he wants to sit in front of me. So he pulls my legs around him, and he's sitting in front of me, and my pelvis gets like tilted in the couch. My intestines are screaming for being squished. Do something other than this. But I'm so happy to have a guy in front of me. Like, it's so cute. I'm like, I've been lonely for so long, and like I'm in someone's house with the fireplace going, and he made me dinner, and he's sitting in front of me, and I can wrap my arms around him, and it's so great. It's a Hallmark movie. It's like my dream come true. My pelvis is like squishing my stomach, and I just had the mystery meatballs. And I feel air building up. Oh God, no, this is my worst fear. This is why I don't date or eat around people. No, please, no, and all this. I farted right on his back.
No.
Right on his back. I'm surprised he didn't just propel forward. I think that fart was felt in Japan. And I quickly went into recon mode. I'm like, fix this. I start rubbing his back, but not in a sexy way. I'm trying to mimic a fart, so his brain gets confused on what he's
Oh, it was
feeling.
silent?
So I immediately start going like this on his back as a weird back massage. So his brain is like, wait, that wasn't a fart. She's just massaging me. And after the date, when I went home, I got a text message that said, "Thank you for the massage. That was really special to me."
Wait, so did he know?
A massage. I was farting on you.
Stop! Okay, so wait, did we see him again? Or like, if he's a man, he ain't gonna care. I was talking about sharding on our first date. Mine and Mike's first date. Or was it the second? Maybe it was the second date, actually. In my defense, it was a very funny story. I've told you guys the story before. But hey, he stuck around. That's my fiance. Look at that. Because he realized that he can also joke about farting and fart around me. I feel like this is a good sign because like he texted you after, right? If he was so grossed out about the fart. If he was so grossed out about the fart, he would not have followed up with you like that right afterward. He would have been like, not my type. Maybe he's just not like that. Maybe he doesn't like a fart. You know, it would have just like not gone anywhere. But he followed up. So I feel like that's a good sign. I don't know. Am I wrong? It's his fault anyway. It's the dinner he made. Oh my God. The comments on this are great. Japan here. That was you? Dead. You've marked him. He belongs to you now, correct? You know how dogs go around and pee on things to mark their property? We go around and we fart on things. My ex walked in the first weekend we spent together and he said, "We're getting this out of the way right now because I'm not going to be uncomfortable all weekend." Looked me in the eye and farted. That's how you got to do it. You cannot be long-term with someone if you're really worried about stuff like this. Like, if he asks you over again, it's love. Yes, that's what I'm saying. Who cares? And if he cares, then screw him. See, third date, during the giggity, he stuck around. You mean to tell me that there are people out there that expect you to just squeeze
I'm prairie dogging it.
for the rest of your life? Absolutely not. Very cute story. Thanks for sharing. I love our little sharing circles.
Put a finger down if you meet a guy on Hinge and it
I will put this finger up.
literally is so good that you exchange phone numbers within like the first few texts with each other. And then a week later you go on a date and the date is literally so good that he asks you on a second date the next day. And then you go on that date and that date is literally so good that the next morning when you wake up and you go to work, he literally delivers flowers to your job and surprises you. And then he asks to hang out again that night. And so you hang out again that night and then you skip a day. And then the next morning, he comes to work and brings you breakfast.
Oh, okay.
And then that night you end up hanging out because he's leaving to go on a trip to Mexico to serve in a wedding and you're leaving to go on a trip with family in Florida. And so you hang out that night and everything's great. And then while you're each on your subsequent vacations, you're chatting and you're talking, but he gets like really drunk and, you know, truth comes out when you're drunk and he starts saying things like he's falling in love with you, which is kind of weird. And you know, you let him know that it's just a little
It's
too
been
much
like a
and he needs to
week.
take a step back and you're just feeling a little overwhelmed. And so he does. And so things get better. And then you both get back from your subsequent trips and you hang out with each other and he buys you dinner and you have a great night and things are going really, really well. And then the next morning, obviously you get your regular good morning, beautiful text message and things seem to be going so great. And then he lets you know that he's sick and you're concerned because the doctor in you is concerned. And so you're asking questions and he's really not giving much of an answer. And then the next day you really don't hear anything. And then the next day you really don't hear anything. And then when you start questioning like what's going on and asking questions, you literally don't get a response. And so then you really start to get aggravated and you send a text message like, what's up? And then he finally reads it because his read receipts are on. So you see that he's finally reading your text messages. And so you go on social media, but he never replies, right? So then you go on social media to see like what the is up and you see that he's blocked and deleted you from all of social media. No rhyme, no reason, no explanation, no causation, just blocked and deleted. And so you go back to the phone and you pretty much put him in his place and then he blocked you there too.
Yeah.
I'd have 2 nickels, which isn't a lot, but it's weird that it happened twice, right?
Okay, so I'll tell you what's going on here. This is what we call love bombing. I actually read a comment like recently from someone who said they had no idea what love bombing was until they watched my channel. So love bombing. So there's 2 things that are going on here. One is love bombing, and number 2, there's someone else, okay? Love bombing is intense and hasty expressions of love early in a relationship. Love bombing is a toxic relationship in which one tries hard to make the partner feel deeply in love, but is uncomfortable and unable to be themselves, okay? This happened to me, like honestly, word for word happened to me. I had met like the cutest dude this one night when we were out. We were hitting it off, okay? He was so tall, he was so cute, he was a doctor. He took my number and stuff. I thought we were having a great time. I didn't go home with him because period. And then I never heard from him again. Then I started dating somebody else, all right? I'm not like super into this guy, but like, you know, I'm like getting to know him and I'm like interested in him and stuff like that. Not like in the same bracket of like, I'm so into you. I get a text from the tall, hot guy that I met that one night, randomly, out of nowhere. And he starts love bombing the out of me. And I was on a trip like home over Christmas to see my family. So I genuinely thought these messages were leading toward like, I'm gonna come back and we're gonna start like being boyfriend and girlfriend. Totally head over heels with this guy. I cut it off with the other dude. Now all of a sudden the dude texting me is annoying me because I'm like,
I'm with this guy over here now. I'm just gonna end it.
Then lo and behold, I come back from my trip home for Christmas and it's crickets. Not a word. Never heard from him again. I didn't really understand what was happening. It really like left like this very empty void because not only did like he was saying all the things that I've always wanted to hear, but I also like ended things with like a pretty like decent dude because I thought that this guy that I really liked was into me. So I go and I ask the biggest hole I know. The biggest boy I know. He's a friend of mine. I know I shouldn't be friends with boys, but I was friends with him. I ask him and I say, you know, like what happened? And he's like, there's someone else. He wanted the validation of you being interested in him, and maybe he felt lonely over Christmas. That's another thing. And there was somebody else, and you were, someone he had thought about. That someone else, maybe didn't show interest in him anymore, and then that's why he came running to you to secure something. And then after Christmas was over, he went back to that other person and dropped you. And I swear to God, I have never thought about ghosting in the same way again. Like, I always used to blame myself. I always used to blame, like this and that. But babes, it's not you. You're just his second choice. And that was just an awful date that made it to TikTok. Subscribe!